Yuuta Segawa is a pretty normal college student. He is just starting his freshman year and is very happy with his decision. He soon gets introduced to some parts of the college program. He meets members of the Street Observation Research Society. The members are called Koichi Nomura, Reika Oda, and Shuntaro Sako. Yuuta is attracted to Reika, but he does not tell her about his feelings. One day, Yuuta gets a visit from his sister Yuri Takanashi. Yuri is the one who basically raised herself and Yuuta after their parents died. Yuri arrives and introduces her 3 daughters to Yuuta. The little girls are called Miu, Sora, and Hina. She asks Yuuta to take care of the girls. Yuuta is really against this idea as he does not like kids, nor does he have free time. Also, Yuuta has been angry at his sister for a while. He hates that she married a man who already had 2 kids with another woman. Yuuta finally accepts and decides to take care of the girls while his sister is on her trip. He now has to balance his life as a student, dealing with his crush, and the girls all at his house. Yuuta spends an entire day with his 3 nieces. It's pretty difficult for him as he isn't used to be around kids. The girls are all very different and have very specific interests. Yuri arrives and she asks if the girls could stay with Yuuta for a few more days. Yuri explains that she and her husband Shigo have to travel on a business trip by airplane and they cannot take the girls with them. Yuuta is against the idea, but finally, he accepts as Yuri is his sister after all. After a few days, Yuuta gets some horrible news. Yuki and her husband Shingo were on a plane that crashed and all the passengers are presumed dead and missing. Yuuta now has no idea what to do as he is heartbroken about his sister dying. Yuuta is now left alone with the 3 small girls. The youngest of them is only 3 years old. These girls now have nobody left except Yuuta. Yuuta has a meeting with his relatives and they think it would be best to split up the girls into various family members. Yuuta hates the idea that the girls would be all split up. This is something his sister would never want. Some of his relatives note that he actually isn't related to 2 girls. Yuuta thinks that this isn't important as they were his sister's daughters. He gets angry and demands to become the girls' only guardian. Yuuta and the girls travel back to his apartment. They ride a train and he then decides to take them out to a restaurant. He wants to make this day feel less painful for them and he wants them to find something that reminds them of their parents. The girls all think that this is a cool road trip. Soon Yuuta and the girls end up in a karaoke bar and there they meet Nomura. Nomura at first thinks that Yuuta is being a creep with such young girls. Yuuta finally explains that something happened with his sister and now he has to take care of her daughters. Soon after that, Yuuta gets a phone call and it's his aunt. She thinks that he is not fit to take care of the girls and she thinks he will fail. Yuuta gets angry at this as he knows he will give everything to the girls. After that, the 4 of them go into Yuuta's home. They spend some time setting up his apartment in the rooms for the girls. Miu and Sora are trying to handle their sadness and Hina has no idea what happened. Nobody has told her about her mother and dad. The girls now move in with Yuuta permanently and he has to balance his student life with being a new father. The following morning the girls settle in their new home. Yuuta still has to get used to the fact that he is living with 3 girls. He also has to prepare breakfast for them and take care of their needs. Yuuta is also worried about their entire financial situation and how he will feed the girls for a long time. The girls notice that their uncle is really worried. Later in the day the girls notice that Yuuta is looking pretty worried about the food bill. They decide to help him out and do a lot of chores around the house. They first clean the house and then they even take the laundry to be washed. On their way, they meet one of his neighbors but run away before they can introduce themselves. When Yuuta returns home from work and sees Sora's cooking, he is furious. The entire kitchen is a total mess and everything is burned. Yuuta is really worried about the girls and angry because they could have hurt themselves. Yuuta then sits the girls down and explains that cooking is very dangerous and they have to be careful in the future. That same night, Sora and Yuuta talk about their financial situation. Yuuta promises Sora that they will be okay and that he will find a way. Yuuta continues to live with the girls and he has to get used to them. Finally, Yuuta goes to work and the girls are left alone in the apartment. Soon Sako starts to call him and she finds out that Yuuta is now living with his nieces. Sora decides that she will personally deliver Yuuta's phone to him. In the meantime, Mu and Hina meet their neighbor called Kurumi Adarashi. Sora goes alone for the first time in the city and she gets lost pretty quickly. She manages to return the phone to someone who works with Yuuta, but she then cannot find her way back home. On her way back home, she starts to think back at the first time she met Yuuta. She remembers how nice she was and how he helped her. Yuuta calls Miu and finds out that Sora has gotten lost. Yuuta is now really worried and starts to look for Sora everywhere. Soon a heavy rainstorm starts and Sora is still wandering the streets. Finally, Yuuta finds her and takes her to safety. They both agree that they have become closer. It seems that Sora has finally accepted Yuuta as her friend. Yuuta also gets a part-time job at a strawberry factory. This is something that Sako told him about. Yuuta tries to brush Hina's hair, but it does not work as he is not very experienced with that sort of thing. He realizes that there is a lot for him to still learn about the girls and how to care for them. The girls then ask Yuuta to take them back to their old home as they have left some really important things there. Sako calls the group and she really wants to meet Yuuta and his nieces. Hina answers the phone and now Sako is really obsessed with meeting the girls as Hina is so cute. The girls and Yuuta finally arrive at their old home. Miu and Sora start to pack up their things. Yuuta spends some time with Hina so that she is distracted and does not get emotional. That same night, the three girls sleep in the same room with Yuuta and they feel safe for the first time in a long time. One day, Yuuta's aunt decides to visit him and the girls to see how they are doing. When she arrives, she realizes that Yuuta and the girls are doing really well on their own. Yuuta has a conversation with his aunt. She tells him that he should be careful when the school year starts. His aunt thinks that things will get much more difficult for Yuuta when that happens. Later in the day, Sako traps Yuuta and she demands to meet and talk with the girls as they are so cute. Yuuta rejects her offer, but Reika manages to convince him to invite all the members of the Street Observation Research Society to dinner. They all go to his apartment and have a sit-down with some dinner. After dinner, Yuuta asks Reika to teach him how to cook really good food. He wants to develop a better relationship with her, and this is the perfect method. Sora is jealous of Reika and she decides to join in the learning process. The following day, Yuuta goes to work and Sora spills flour all over herself and Reika. The girls now all have to take a bath. Yuuta returns home after work and wants to talk with the girls about their school. Soon the daughter of his landlady arrives and tells Yuuta that he has to be out of the apartment very soon. There are too many people living here, so Yuuta has to move out. Yuuta starts to search for a new apartment for himself and the girls. Sora decides to help him out. In the meantime, the landlady Midorikawa is angry at Kurumi for being late with the rent. This means the landlady also makes Hina cry. Sawako helps the girls and learns about their problems with the landlady. Yuuta tries to convince Sawako to postpone their eviction date until he finds a good place for himself and the girls. Sawako's mother is really charmed by Hina, so she decides to cancel the eviction and gives Yuuta a totally new contract so that he can remain in his current apartment. School finally starts for Miu and Sora. They have to travel a lot to get to school, so that is a bit difficult for them. Miu also has a problem at school because she is pretty depressed. She finds out that her classmates pity her, so she gets even sadder than before. Nimura decides to take her around town and fix her shoes. Miu tells Nimura about her problems and how she feels so sad and alone. Nimura then explains that the kids were just trying to be kind so that Miu should accept their help and love. Miu returns home and is now happy. She thanks Sora for letting her travel all around the town. Miu and Sora still have a lot of trouble in their school. Their biggest problem is trying to get used to their schedule. It's just too much and their life is too fast. Because of that, both girls suffer a lot. Sora even decides to quit her glee club and she becomes really sad every day. In the meantime, Kurumi is also depressed about her voice acting career as she cannot find a job anywhere. Some time passes and Sora is still pretty sad. Sora talks with Reika, who gives her some advice. It seems that Yuuta explained to her that it's always okay to ask for some help. Sora finally decides to join the glee club once more and she is a lot happier. In the meantime, Kurumi realizes that she loves voice acting and will continue trying to find a job. Yuuta, Miu, and Sora are really tired. They have to work and balance their school life all day. They don't get much rest at all. Yuuta's aunt visits once again. She talks to Yuuta about Sora and Miu and they're not having a very easy time at school. Before she leaves, she gives Yuuta an order to answer a specific letter. All the girls go to sleep, but only Sora remains awake. She finds the letter that Yuuta has to read. It seems that another uncle in the family wants to adopt all three girls and Yuuta has the decision to make. Sora finally decides to talk with Hina about their parents. She tells her younger sister that their parents will never return home. Hina is totally out of control now and she gets angry. Days pass and Yuuta leaves the house without telling the girls. Sora decides to follow him around town. Yuuta goes to visit the grave of his sister. There, Sora gets angry at him and demands an explanation about the letter. Yuuta then tells Sora that he wants to continue being their guardian. His aunt and Sora's uncle hear this and accept Yuuta's decision. After a few days, Hina has a music performance at her daycare. Yuuta asks all his friends from college and works to come to see her perform. After some time, Yuuta gets the papers done and he can now move into his sister's old home. He and the girls become a true family. The end. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and click the bell icon to get new anime recaps.